Welcome to the podcast that broadcasts from Revelstoke, BC.
We're bringing you stories from the back eddies and undercurrents of a mountain town.
I'm Jill McDonald.
And I'm Nora Hughes.
This is Mountain Underground.
Hey Jill.
Hey Nora.
Where are we today?
We're beside the Columbia River.
We are at the end of our Mountain Underground podcast.
We are there too. Shocking.
Yeah, I know. It's been a wild ride.
It has been a wild ride. If I think about how we first approached the project, sort of the byproduct of encountering other stories, that we felt this disconnect between the narrative driven by the public version of Revelstoke versus the personal version we had encountered. And then our own disconnect between perhaps expectations we had of ourselves when we first came here to how our lives were unfolding.
We thought we were going to ski more. We thought we were going to be climbing mountains and crossing rivers. And we found ourselves...
I've spent most of my time here on the valley bottom.
On the flats.
On the flats.
Yeah, definitely a different version of the adventure that I was sold to by the, marketing of this place. I thought I would be up there on the top of Cartier.
Yeah.
But I found myself really comfortable, and I found a different version of myself, and I found a different connection with people like yourself and the people that we've talked to right here on the valley floor in the heart of our community. So it's been a wild ride.
It has been a wild ride. Very emotional. For me, anyway.
Yeah. Well, should we relive some of those
one
those
thing we did
moments?
do was ask most of our guests their vision of the future, or how they felt things might unfold. And I think we should revisit that and have a listen.
Let's do it.
But it's nice. Originally Donna Anna Rake. Now I'm Donna Anna Hannah. I got to be the only person in the world with 6 N's and 5 A's in your name. How about that? Moved to Revelstoke in 1941. I like the mountains. I like the seasons. I like the people. Pretty much everything. It's just been a real pretty town. To me, it's been a friendly town. I've been happy here the whole time, so why wouldn't I live here? Tonight I am aching, my party is shaking. Tonight Carmen's coming back home. Tonight there'll be no room for tears in my bedroom. Tonight Carmen's coming back home. The thing with the older people here, they own their houses. They're here. They're not going anywhere. It's the 40s, the 50s, the 60-year-olds. If they haven't got their house bought and paid for, they can't afford it. And it's just like, that's just sick to me. It's just wrong.
Do you think we can hang on to our town?
I don't know. It kind of depends on the people that come in if they want to stay. I know the town has to grow, I suppose. But it's too expensive now. You can't even think. Once upon a time, as a single mother, I bought myself a house. I remodeled it myself, and worked on it and whatnot. I couldn't even think to buy a house now. I don't like that. It's not. If some young person comes into town and wants to start to make a home, unless they got a lot of money, they're not going to do that. I don't like that. It's just too expensive. The greed in a lot of directions is I think, more the problem than anything. My personal feeling, they say, well, we got to make money. But there are those that are making it and there's those that are not. And then it's just wrong the way it is. That's the way I feel about it. But what do I do on a regular day? Depending on this time of the year. Now, this time of the year, I'm outside as soon as I get out of bed and have breakfast. I'm outside in the yard, I'm digging in the garden. If I had wood to chop, I'd be chopping wood, which I don't have. I got it already piled up now. I'd sweep the sidewalk if it needed it. And if it was winter time, depending on how much it snowed, I would sometimes get up really early and shovel it. Then I would shovel it again. And sometimes I would shovel it at late time. Then I got music. In between, I got to practice that a little bit and keep my fingers moving and entertain the folks in the hospital and those that need it. It's really a shame that we don't have more of that.
So I'm Chris Miller. I grew up in Smithers. Yeah, been here since 2001. And Revelstoke, has changed immensely since I came here. It was really just a blue-collar working town with obviously everything around, and with technology and more people have come to know about Revelstoke, through social media and whatnot. More and more people are coming here, and it's changed, it's good and bad.
So, Chris, what events have changed your life, and how has that affected your view of Revelstoke and how you move through the landscape in this place?
So, basically, I recreated all through Revelstoke and all around Revelstoke and all the mountains. Before 2014, I had a stroke, and since then, I've learned to get around Revelstoke and Revelstoke, people always come here because extremeness, everything's the best of everything, but Revelstoke, for people in my position that have to roll, is incredible. We're at the bottom of all the mountains in a river valley, and it's pretty much flat, not quite a mile wide, but I can travel up and down the valley, depending on where I go and what the conditions are. Usually 3 wheels will get me there. I make a choice of what I'm gonna ride depending on where I'm gonna go and what the conditions are like. I feel for myself, because I've lost so much physical abilities, mentally I'm still who I was, but I've learned to portray myself I know I can communicate still, and I like to portray or be in the community, smiling, and people, all the different places that we've talked about where I've worked or volunteered, I feel that it's a very positive atmosphere, that people are going or come here to visit, and they want to learn about Revelstoke and what we have to offer, and I feel like I have a great knowledge of what we have all around town, and either able-bodied or disabled. I just feel like people around can learn from what my travels around and all the different venues that I may go to. When I'm not on my bike, I got certified as an education assistant, so I'm now able to go into I'm able to access both the elementary and the high school, and I love being in the school system, and I feel, quite honestly, it's my opportunity to give back. So many people have given me so much and helped me so much since I've had my stroke that if I can make a positive influence on a child or some children throughout, that's a win for me.
So my name is Tomo. That's a short name of the Japanese names Tomoaki Fujimura. Yeah, and then I'm originally from Osaka, Japan. I did not know much of the interment road camps between Signals and Revelstoke. First, I moved to Revelstoke. There was no information in my files whatsoever. I knew, whenever we talk about internment camp, it's like New Denver, Slocan cities, and Castle. That's the main core of internment camp. And, just my first Canadian friend was the Japanese Canadian from Cranbrook who was interned in Sandon and passed away during COVID time. And those are kind of connections that I had early stage in my life. History is still repeating in a way. But in order to understand color of Revelstoke as the foreigners, immigrant, I wanted to learn the color of this town. Otherwise, I'm not respecting. So how do I do is involved with piece of puzzle. And then that's my contribution to that. Hopefully I can learn the Ukrainians history, Italians history, Sikh history, and then hopefully those background, knowledge or interest come to the front. And we have great discussion that goes to the multicultural. Then we can welcome more to those outside or new people, and we need to connect those ones. We are detached.
Kevin Bolifer. So I'm the general manager of the Revelstoke Community Forest Corp.
And where are we headed, Kevin?
We're heading out to our tree farm license, which is approximately 50 kilometers north of Revelstoke on the east side of Lake Revelstoke. Forestry is so complex, and so you might look at it and go, oh, well, why are they doing that? And there's probably a reason. It's worth investigating further, but there's probably a reason. And we don't always get it right all the time either, but at least we're trying things, and if it doesn't work, well, then we'll fix it. It's great, and I think we can have it all. We can have forestry, and we can have recreation, and we can have nature and biodiversity and all those things, and we're going that way, and I am really optimistic that we will get there, and it does take some time for sure, but with everybody working together and going towards a common goal, I think we can achieve it. I'm hopeful that we'll continue to go that way, and I'm optimistic. Like I really do think that we understand things better, and with First Nations and all these partnerships, I think we can create a great industry and be proud of our forests. We should be.
Of all the places I've been within the mountains, this is the only place that's actually felt like it can be a home. I think in a lot of mountain towns especially, you've constantly got this influx of people who then leave quite often, whereas like here there are opportunities to stay. And I think from a personal experience that ties into the opportunities from an immigration standpoint. Like for a Brit, we're so used to spending maybe 4 or 5 months in a European town, but then you have to leave straight away. Whereas like here, there's so many reasons to actually want to stay. Revelstoke doesn't just fall completely dead out of season, and all the shops remain open. There's a core group of locals that are still here, and I think the people are what make the place so appealing. There's so many different people here from different backgrounds, different countries, different cultures, and for every second I've been here so far, I've not felt out of place. I felt like there is a place for you here in the town. Feel free to go and find out what that is, and once you've done, like, enjoy it as much as you can. I think from the cricket side of things, I think it's going to provide a real incentive for a lot of people to potentially stay all year round and maybe sort of lay some roots here. Okay, it's cricket. It's not going to like be the be all and end all of picking a place. But if you're, let's say you come here and you experience Revelstoke in the winter and you're just not sure about, what there is to do in a summer, I hope that some people might be encouraged to stay and try Revelstoke in a summertime if they know that there's a cricket club here. I think if you want to get all symbolic about life in Revelstoke, I think that's quite, there's a connection there because, whatever it is, the goal that you're working towards, here in Revelstoke, you've got to do a pretty steep climb. You're going to take some tumbles on the way, but eventually if you reach that top, the rewards are going to be of immense value.
Well, what did you think of that?
Well, I have two thoughts. One, I wanted to ask you about what makes this place sticky. It's something you've brought up a number of times. But first, I want to go back to Matt Brummel. His words have really stuck in my mind since he said them. And it was about how this place is friendly, but it's not unfriendly. It's sort of neutral. And it's like, okay, find your way in, go ahead, explore, enjoy your time. But it isn't going to be easy. Mm-hmm. And that, for me, really resonates. It's not an easy place, but it's not unfriendly. You have to work to want to be here. Yeah. And, it's forced me out of my comfort zone, not just this project, the place itself as well. Mm-hmm. It's been a reevaluation, and I can't say that I've fully solved everything, but I do feel rewarded.
Yeah. Yeah. And back to your question about what makes this place sticky, I feel like it's kind of exactly what you're talking about. Like, it's attractive in one way. The way that I saw it from the outside, the way that I saw Revelstoke from the outside, the way that it was marketed, the way that I had experienced it as a visitor, included a lot of things that, attracted me to this place, that made me move to this place. But being here, and I think a lot of the people that we talk to along the way can concur with this, it's sticky. Revelstoke. It's a term that doesn't come out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. People get stuck here because there is something about this place that is sticky. And I don't know that I fully know what it is. And I think that's okay. Although
you're not comfortable with not having an answer.
I think that that's kind of something that you're more comfortable with, and especially in like our work and our writing. You're okay with asking those big questions and sitting with them. And I need answers. I want to know. I want to come to the end of this series and have answers for why this place is the way that it is. And we covered so many broad topics, from change to climate to race, to all of these things. And I feel like we should have an answer. But maybe our job with this podcast was just to take a really broad snapshot in the hopes that somebody else out there is going to try to dig deeper and is going to try to experience this place in a way that they didn't expect they were going to.
Well, for sure, if you listen, they're going to hear stories that are, deeper and surprising, rich in detail, addressing some of the conflicts that are here. This is not a perfect place, obviously. No place is perfect, but we're certainly not perfect. Yeah. And not everyone is happy with the direction that's being taken, but they aren't unhappy either. Yeah. There is no huge division. There's no us and them.
There isn't. It's not as black and white as I thought that our storytelling was going to be when we started this series. It's not the visitors and the locals. It's not the tourists and then the community members. It's just not that black and white. Everyone is experiencing the town through a different lens, and I'm really thankful that we got to look through some of those lenses to try to capture this place in a better light, to try to bring some of those stories of the quiet ways that people live and exist in this place without looking through that radical, awesome, adventure, snow lens that sometimes Revelstoke is characterized as.
Yeah, and it can be oppressive. You know, that's not the truth.
Yeah. There's definitely a whole other side to the coin.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sticking with me on the journey, Nora.
Thank you for
I wish
for
I
being
could
on
hand you an answer on a plate.
I know. Well, you know what? I think that if anything, this is a start.
It's a great start. It's been great hanging out with you.
You too.
Cheers.
Cheers. Revelstoke is home to the Sinaiaks, Secwepemc, Ktunaxa, and Syilx people.
Come visit us, spend some time, and learn more about life along the Columbia River.